back with the head of the race. Van Hooijdonk is up there, having joined these three riders who now have still got just a slender lead of around about 35-40 seconds. We're waiting for the next time check to come back. And there they are, Eddie Planckaert, Marshal Gaillon, Van Kiersbulk and Edwig Van Hooijdonk. And it's Van Kiersbulk on the front at the moment in the pale blue and white jersey. Moving through, another blue and white jersey. That is the tall figure then of Edwig Van Hooijdonk. Then the gay, colourful sight of Marshal Gaillon. But this is the man who must be wondering what he's got to do. Down in the centre without a crash hat on, his blonde locks flowing in the breeze, right in the middle of that bunch with Laurent Fignon. He must get amongst the points today. He's got to mark every move as they're made. And off goes number 16. That's Jan van den Akker. Well, he's been quite active at the front of this bunch. PDM desperately keen to score points for the team championship, and without their team leader Sean Kelly, who's watching this race at home in Ireland with his family and in forced rest for 4 weeks. Well, Sean, I know he'd be anxious to get in there and have a go at this one. He won way back in 84, he won in 86 at the Bowl, Sean, but sideline now, he can but sit and watch the action of these riders. And it looks like we've got a split at the front. We're down to 3 here and one that's gone away. Looks like Van Kiersbulk has made the move. And coming up, this is the PDM rider. That is a very, very quick bit of pedalling indeed. And it's moving up to join up with those three, but one has disappeared out of sight. And they're easing back now. Well, this may be the chance then that the young rider, 25 years of age, Van Kiersbulk would wait for, because up there with them now, number 16, Jan van den Akker. Well, he's going to take a breather. And so is this fellow not having a chance to breathe at all. He's got to look back over his shoulder. He's a big rider, strong man indeed. And there's the gap, something around about 50 metres. But all the way in towards Roubaix, it's dead flat. Slight headwind. They'll turn and get it over their shoulders. They sweep in towards the finish of the track. This race finishing with a full lap of the track, where a lot of people are waiting, watching track racing and some fun going on at the finish. But will these riders stay away? Planckaert looks a bit worried, looking back. He's had some tremendous support from his team so far. But they can't let one lone rider like this get too far in the front. Just look at the power going down. Been riding now for well over 6 hours and still pedalling powerfully in towards the finish, but he's beginning to rock a bit now. Perhaps that was too early a move, and he's looking back and he seems to have lost his rhythm. It's a chance worth taking, because whilst the others were looking at each other, he slipped out of sight, out of mind, but really wants to get off this main road and into the little lanes so that you have any chance of staying away from that chasing group of 4. He's still very determined. On the outside ring, they've got a double chain ring at the front, and anything up to 7 sprockets at the back, giving him something in the order of 14 gears, and he's on the biggest one at the moment. He's searched for a small one. They're going to get him back now. Out of the saddle they go. The chase is on. That slight rise. They can sense they're going to reel him in. But this action is causing a split in this leading group, and they must work together, because here are the chasers, and there's Fignon, 1, 2, 3 from the front, going past. Looks like Adrien van der Poel in the green and black for the Wyman team. Del Tongo rider looking over his shoulder. That's Ballerini. He's without his teammate, because it looks as if Maurizio Fondrius is not in that group. Looking down the field, I couldn't spot another of the Del Tongo jerseys at all. And I wonder what happened to him. We'll no doubt get some information back up from the radio travelling with this race, because one of the problems with it, you get sudden punctures, somebody drops off the back and they disappear from that group. But this is our leading 2, 4, 5 of them now. Still again, look on the front, the red and yellow colours, Panasonics. They're not going to stretch this one too much, I don't think. Look, he's easing back, freewheeling. Thomas Wegmüller moves forward in the black and green colours. But it's a fairly leisurely pedalling speed at the moment. They're not cutting into that leading group. Obviously, one or two want to save themselves in case we get to a sprint and all the bunch come into the track together. It doesn't often happen in the Paris-Roubaix that you can get the whole field hit the track together, because there's still a lot of couples ahead of these riders. And here's Steve Bauer making a move. Bauer's come out of that chasing group. He's on his own. He doesn't have much support from the 7-Eleven squad. He's changed over the Canadian to that American-sponsored team now. Very, very powerful rider indeed, Steve Bauer. What a contrast in style, though, to Bauer, to Houdonk. We saw him go up in a stylish way, but Bauer is a very chunky, powerful rider. And he's closing up on them, rocking his head from side to side. Once he gets there, there'll be shelter. He's got to really put the effort in for something like about another kilometre, I suggest, and he should be on the back of those group in front, and they'll have another welcome aid to keep the pace up. So there we are, section 5. They count down the pavé, this cobble section. This is the 5th from last section of the race. Right the way through, each of the cobble sections have a number. The riders then know how many more moments of agony they've got, and they're on the right-hand side of your screen, showing over this section of the pavé. It's section 5, and the distance they've covered so far, 238.4 kilometres, and the actual zone of the pavé is 1.5 kilometres. And Bauer is on it now. Look at the dust that's being kicked up. They've been batting along under these sort of conditions all day today, sucking in lungfuls of dust. And you can imagine normally when this race is held under very wet conditions, it's very slippy, mucky, and they often come up to the finish looking like they've come out of a coal mine. But today, the sun beating down, bronzing the limbs. It's quite chilly out there for the spectators, but these riders at the moment now relishing the sunny conditions. It's allowed some of the parts of the course, you can see the left-hand side here where Bauer is riding, to be quite good, almost like a firm bit of tarmac. That would be very boggy if it had been raining, and they'd be forced to ride on the paving stones there, the pavé, the infamous Hell of the North. And Bauer's made it. He's up there. That spirited effort has taken him up to that group, and that shall cause some consternation, I think, if they get together at the finish, because he's a very good sprinter. Rest of this field wondering what they've got to do to pull them back. Number 59 there, Soren Lilholt, in extremely good form at the moment. The far side, the yellow and black colours of Ballerini for Del Tongo. I said earlier, without his teammate at the moment, he's got to really ride for himself. It looks like Duclos-Lascelles for Z Peugeot at the head of the race. Back we go to the leaders. Looks like Bauer's being slightly dislodged. That's half the trouble once you get up to a leading group and you've been trying very hard indeed. If they put the pressure on, as soon as you get on the wheel, you can find yourself struggling. You've used all your effort to get there, and if you can't hang on, then all that is to no avail. But he's sitting in there, and this is the group still chasing. Fignon, 1, 2, 3 from the front. And still that tantalising gap then. Only some 35 seconds we're here now. That still is something that any of these riders could get across. Fignon for his Castorama team is on his own there at the moment. Doesn't look like he's got any support. Soren Lilholt hasn't got any support, nor has Duclos-Lascelles. This is again where the race is really for the hard men. Remember Peter Post saying last night to me that this is a special course for special riders, and we're seeing some of the world's best here, but remarkably enough, one or two of those unknowns managing to get in amongst it. But this man is not unknown. Steve Bauer, 7-Eleven rider from Canada, looking back. They're all a bit worried now. That's a sure sign that the action behind must be hotting up, and therefore they would be somewhat concerned to get even more riders, perhaps the whole field coming up and joining them. That is confirmation of the group then. Eddie Plancard from Belgium, Jan van den Akker from Holland, Marshal Gaillant from France. In there too as well then, the Canadian riders Steve Bauer, Van Hoendonk also in that group, and Eddie Plancard. So then they're swinging around this bend, and on these straight stretches here, that group of chasers can certainly see the leaders and the dust that's being kicked up. Well, he's been doing a lot of work at the front as the rider on the right-hand side, Duclos-Lascelles, and he's summing up some more help, say, come on, let's get somebody else doing some work here. But again, always the ever-present Panasonics, the red and yellow jerseys, moving in to stop the attacks and slow them down. No more than about 20 riders there, I would think, and zoom off they go again. Well, this is all-out action. I'm quite surprised to see how they begin to split up now. The peloton is only 17 seconds. No wonder they're really going some. They've recognised a chance to go across, and they're all having to put the hammer down now. There is Bauer stretching out. And it looks like they've managed to split this little leading group. There's Gaillon, there's Plancard, and here's Van Hooijdonk. With the gap only 17 seconds, that is very dangerous. They've got to start working rather than jumping about like this. Because when they get on the wheel, you get plenty of shelter, and Plancard to the back there, easing himself. He's the man who really started the action earlier on. And yet again, those red, yellow and blue colours of the Panasonics marking everything. There's Fignon moving to second place. Fignon must be wondering what he's got to do to bring this group up. To get within 17 seconds and not be able to go across, that is absolutely amazing. But this will help the breakaway group. Look how they're slowing down. Nobody wants to take the lead. Wall-to-wall bike riders, gutter-to-gutter riding, and nobody wants to put the effort. They could surely have jumped that 17 seconds. This is crazy. Ducas Lascelles being doing so much work on the front. He must be wondering who's going to come through and have a go. As must Fignon as well. Well, this really is a surprise act. Nobody's prepared to have a go and jump across. Look at the marks on his jersey there. You could see that he'd come off Ducas Lascelles. It's one of the problems of this race. And there is Fignon in the centre talking to his team manager, and surely he must be asking, what do I have to do to close this gap? There it is, just those tantalising few seconds. My goodness, it could still really be an all-out sprint. They could all come together. So to see the final few kilometres of the Paris-Roubaix, do join us after this break.